Hi, and welcome to another episode of Hot Takes with me, the Silver Fox. 3 days ago, I did a video about Humza Yousaf, and he was saying about what to do when you're faced with bigotry. And the line he used, we made much fun of it, was, if you see bigotry, if you are victim of bigotry, if anything like that happens, and his words were, you've got to look to me and say, fuck off. Those were his words. He was inviting people to tell him to do this thing. He wasn't saying, look at me in the particular way and say, oh, well, he's done it, he's achieved it, and then look back at their attacker or back at the person criticising them and tell them to do it. His words were, if ever you suffer from bigotry or hate or anything like that, look at me and say fuck off. Those were his words. Well, it appears that someone has taken him up on his offer, because he was at the Fringe yesterday and he's being questioned by Ian Dale, and he's done all of them this week. And someone in the audience, after he said something, he was speaking, and someone in the audience got up and told him to fuck off. We all need to do this, people. Everywhere he goes, we need people to just say to him, fuck off. He'll soon get the message, and then hopefully he will. Well, have a quick look at this. It's just him being questioned at the Fringe, but it was just the tantalising glimpse of people actually addressing him in the way that he needs to be addressed. And there is one guy right at the end of the piece, so hang around to the end of the piece, because there is one guy who described him in a way that I think absolutely sums him up, and I think how most people who look at him will see him. So I'm going to have a look at this, and we'll just then, with in unison as one, we can all at the end tell him to go fuck off. Anyway, here goes. So Humza Yousaf told to fuck off by heckler as he suggests the SNP's finances could be affected by human error or worse. How can he talk about SNP finances is a joke, isn't it? Given how bad they are. Anyway, the First Minister faced more tough questions from the audience than he did from Ian Dale, as he was heckled 3 times at his Edinburgh Fringe Festival appearance. And you couldn't heckle that man enough, could you? With his little tartan tie, in case he forgets what country he's supposed to be from. Humza Yousaf admitted that the SNP finances could be affected by human error or worse. And I think he means by that the sort of treatment that was affecting them before. Thievery, embezzlement, fraud, that kind of things. As he was heckled 3 times at his Edinburgh Fringe appearance. He was being interviewed by Ian Dale, who avoided key contentious issues like Mary Black and Patrick Grady, because Dale doesn't have the balls to ask him about that. The First Minister's show also proved to be substantially less popular than his predecessors, as it was in a lower capacity theatre which was 1/4 empty. So they had to come to scale it down a size of theatre, and even then they couldn't fill the seats because nobody wants to listen to what he says. Then they quite rightly, if not actually saying it, then saying it with their feet and then telling him to fuck off. He had to deal with numerous shouts from the audience, including being told to fuck off by one campaigner. Well done, boys. I mean, honestly, well done. Oil protesters and a care experienced children campaigner also interrupted. Mr Yousaf was pressed about the financial and police woes which have plagued the SNP, and was asked how he would ensure this would never happen again. And he can't ensure that at all. Of course, he can't ensure it, but you can put safeguards in place to make it more difficult. But anyway, he had to deal. He once again criticised the previous regime of Nicola Sturgeon and Peter Murrell monopoly. But he said that issues could happen again. Mr Dale asked what he was doing. Something like this high-profile police probe would not happen to his party again. What he was doing to make sure, I think they mean, that this would not happen to his party again. He said, yes, there is a caveat that I'll come to, he says. The first thing I did was chair a National Executive Committee meeting and said we need to deal with this investigation. Because that's the thing, isn't it? When something happens, we'll have a committee, and the committee will say that we need to do something. And then you form another committee that's going to be tasked with the process of doing something, and that committee meets and said, right, something must be done. And they say, what are we going to do with it? I think we need another committee to decide, and so on down the line. Committees getting ever smaller and smaller, all the way down to infinity. It's turtles all the way, love. Anyway, he said governance and financial oversight has to be improved, and I instructed Mike Russell, who has rolled up his sleeves. I mean, literally, did he stand there and physically roll up his sleeves? I mean, I don't think so. and along with the National Secretary. And they've got a good team. Now, wait for it, brace yourself. They've got a good team, he says, like Jean Freeman. I wouldn't have Jean Freeman anywhere near it, given the trouble she's likely to be in very soon. Anyway, he said that they've got right stuck into really good governance review to present to the national conference. Why didn't they have this governance before? Anyone with half a mind towards business would understand the need for fiscal security, shall we put it that way? Anyway, he said, I did suggest or alluded to a slight caveat because we could have had all the best procedures in the world in place, but that doesn't necessarily stop human error coming in, or worse. And by that obviously means embezzlement. Mr. Yousaf also admitted that the police probe was damaging to the party on the doorsteps as voters were mentioning it. He's saying that, and yet yesterday we had the thing from John Curtis, who said, actually, whilst it's very minimal, there are people, that are there. The single biggest problem with the SNP, the single biggest problem, is a man called Humza Yousaf. And he is the thing that is causing most people to just tune off, tune out and turn off and walk away from the party. He is to blame. Anyway, Mr. Murrell and Miss Sturgeon ran the SNP like a tight ship for 7 years as First Minister. And Peter Murrell... What? Listen to what this says. Mr. Murrell and Miss Sturgeon ran the SNP like a tight ship for 7 years as First Minister and Peter Murrell. So which of them was playing Peter Murrell? The way that reads, it's that Mr. Murrell was the First Minister and Miss Sturgeon played at being Peter Murrell. I tell you what, the standard of journalism these days, I reckon this piece was written by AI. But it should be really AS, isn't it? Artificial stupidity. Anyway, they are the two prominent nationalist figures who are under investigation by detectives over alleged embezzlement and fraud within the party. And God, do we hope that arrests follow and that charges follow and a court case follows. And we want them to be found guilty and go away for a very long time. Mr. Yousaf agreed with Mr. Dale that something like their stewardship should never happen. This is the man who's about to promote a husband and wife team. What a moron. He said there should be a degree of separation between leader of the party and its finances. There should be no connection whatsoever. His interview with Mr. Dale was disrupted 3 times. And here we go, we're going to get the description of this one now. The loudest and longest one being from a unionist campaigner called Niall Fraser. He accused Mr. Yousaf of being anti-white, followed by his alleged rant in Holyrood, and was told him to fuck off. He shouted that the SNP leader was a pestilence on the land and branded him despicable. And I think that is about right. The First Minister also confirmed that he supported the expulsion of Angus MacNeil from the party after he refused to bend the knee and take the whip at Westminster over his Skexit arguments. But Mr. Dale did not ask about another controversial MP, the Sex Pest MP, Sex Pest MP, Patrick Grady. Mr. Yousaf revealed he wasn't sure about applying to replace Miss Sturgeon when she stepped down until his wife, Nadia El Nakla, who's also an SNP councillor, persuaded him to do so. Why does nobody in the SNP take married names? Weird, isn't it? She persuaded him to do so. He stuck the boot in Alex Salmond's Albert Party by suggesting they would not be liked by his party because they kept attacking him and his policies. Everybody's attacking him and his policies. He is a knob, absolute knob, and his policies are shit. And there's no other way about it. And that is why people in the street are telling him to fuck off. Well done, every single person. Every single person who tells him to go away in no uncertain terms is a hero in my book. And not all heroes wear capes, but they're still heroes, aren't they? Anyway, I'll round up and come up. So I'd like to thank Niall for that outburst at his meeting, his interview. Humza did say, if you are a victim of bigotry, look at me and tell me, look at me and say fuck off. That was his words, and we said at the beginning. And of course then Niall sat there and said Humza Yousaf was anti-white, and he said there were too many white faces. He said that he wanted more non-white faces in power, and he basically was anti-white. Niall said, well, that makes me the victim of bigotry, and you're the one being bigoted, so Mr. Yousaf, fuck off. Well done, son. Well done. Round of applause to that man. Hero. Niall, take a bow. Tips hat. Thank you very much. Anyway, I shall finish it there, and I shall leave the pestilence on the land to get on with his day, and hopefully have a lot more people telling him where to go. Thank you very much for watching, and I apologise about the sweary nature of this one, but it was part and parcel of what the story was about, so do bear with me. Anyway, until next time, stay safe, stay well, do hit the subscribe button, it really helps, and goodbye.